for a presentation.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and members of the Armed Forces Day Special Standing Committee, Division of Public Engagement Manager, City Manager's Office. This item is a recommendation from the City Manager and the Chief of Police for the Armed Forces Day Special Standing Committee to, 1, accept and file the after-action updates for the 2026 Armed Forces Day Parade and Celebration, and 2nd, provide direction regarding the planning and programming of next year's 2027 Armed Forces Day Parade and Celebration. With the successful completion of this year's events, staff is pleased to provide this after-action report of the 64th Annual Armed Forces Day Parade and Celebration. This has been a long-standing Torrance tradition, honoring the service and sacrifice of members of all 6 branches of the Armed Forces. For more than 6 decades, the city has hosted this community-wide tribute, bringing together active duty military personnel, veterans, military dignitaries, residents, and visitors in recognition of those who have served and continue to serve our nation. This year's celebration honored the United States Marine Corps as the featured service branch and coincided with America's 250th semi-quincentennial. Brigadier General Omar J. Randall of the United States Marine Corps served as the 2026 Armed Forces Day Grand Marshal. The weekend was highlighted by the Armed Forces Day Parade along Torrance Boulevard with a multi-day military exhibit, which included a family-friendly kids zone this year at their new location at the City Yard, and the Stars and Strides 5K run walk hosted by the Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce at its new location near Civic Center Drive and Maple Avenue. In addition to these public events, several invitation-only programs were held for military and civic leaders, including a welcome reception at the Western Museum of Flight at the Torrance Airport and the post-parade banquet at the Torrance Marriott. Now, supporting an event of this magnitude requires year-round planning and coordination across numerous city departments, military partners, and community organizations. The Torrance Police Department's Traffic Division serves as the lead department, overseeing event planning, public safety, traffic management, security coordination, military liaison efforts, and logistics across multiple venues and activities. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Lieutenant Fisher of the Torrance Police Department's Traffic Division to provide the committee with an overview of this year's planning and event operations, including fiscal impacts, operational outcomes, lessons learned, and the information needed to assist the committee in providing direction for the 2027 Armed Forces Day Parade and Celebration.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Tucci, committee members. Lieutenant Charles Fisher, Commander of the Traffic and Special Events Division of the Torrance Police Department. Today I'd like to provide an after-action review of the 26th Armed Forces Day celebration. I'll cover operational planning, staffing, attendance, approximate expenditures, successes, challenges, and several considerations as we begin planning for 2027. Overall, the event was successfully conducted without any major public safety incidents, and I would like to recognize the tremendous work performed by city staff, our military partners, volunteers, and assisting agencies. This year's event was conducted under a significantly different operating environment than previous years. In addition to changes in venues and programming, we planned during a period of heightened international tensions that affected military participation nationwide. Despite those challenges, staff successfully adapted our operational plans, implemented several new community-focused programs, and safely delivered all scheduled events. While attendance declined in several categories, which I'll discuss later, the event itself was successfully executed from a public safety and operational perspective. Next slide. Thank you. The Armed Forces Day celebration continues to be much more than simply a parade. As you can see here, over the course of the weekend, city staff coordinated numerous events, including the parade, military exhibit, 5K run, 5K expo, aircraft flyovers, the military banquet, the Western Museum of Flight dignitary reception, and several new additions, including the Torrance Police Foundation Kids Zone, food trucks, and transit park and ride. Each of these components required its own operational plan, staffing, coordination, while remaining integrated into one comprehensive event throughout the weekend. Next slide, please. If you recall, during last year's after-action review, several concerns were identified regarding the future sustainability of the event. Those included the loss of the Del Amo Fashion Center exhibit site, increasing costs, declining military participation, and questions regarding long-term staffing requirements. In response, staff relocated the military exhibit to the city yard, redesigned the 5K course, introduced several new family-oriented attractions, implemented a new park and ride system, relocated the dignitary reception, and preserved the traditional parade. The intent was to respond to those challenges while maintaining the character of the event. Planning for Armed Forces Day is truly a citywide effort, as you all know. The event required coordination among virtually every city department, military representatives, regional law enforcement partners, the Chamber of Commerce, the Torrance Police Foundation, contractors, and numerous volunteers. This year also marked the first implementation of an endorsed traffic engineering plan and expanded coordination for aircraft safety with volunteer air traffic control professionals. While several venue changes occurred later in the planning process than anticipated, staff successfully adapted and maintained operational readiness. One point I'd like to emphasize is that the staffing commitment extends well beyond the parade route. As you can see, public safety operations included an incident command post, emergency operations center activation, parade security, military exhibit security, traffic management, dignitary protection, crowd management, aircraft coordination, park and ride operations, and contingency planning for all the above. Armed Forces Day remains one of the city's largest coordinated public safety operations each year, requiring extensive planning and personnel. And the event required the coordinated efforts of more than 150 personnel representing nearly every city department and numerous regional partners. Given the international environment this year, our security posture was once again elevated compared to previous celebrations. We implemented enhanced vehicle mitigation, additional SWAT dignitary protection, military equipment security, civil unrest contingency planning, and coordinated closely with our Emergency Operations Center and assisting agencies. I'm pleased to report that all scheduled events were completed without any major public safety incidents or interruptions.
Very nice.
Turning to attendance. Using the Placer AI analytical platform, which I know you're all familiar with, we estimate approximately 4,800 spectators attended the parade. The military exhibit at the City Yard attracted approximately 1,550 visitors over the 3-day event, with 500 visiting on Friday, 750 on Saturday, and only 300 on Sunday. It is worth noting that nearly half, 48% of all exhibit attendance occurred on Saturday following the parade, which in my opinion demonstrates a strong relationship between the 5K, the parade, and the exhibit visitation. The Chamber of Commerce reported 874 participants in the 5K, including only 37 military runners this year, along with approximately 1,500 5K Expo attendees. One of the new operational elements implemented this year was the transit park and ride system. Throughout the weekend, the service provided transportation for 1,106 riders between the Civic Center, the Transit Center, and military exhibit site. Beyond providing transportation, the program reduced parking demand at the exhibit site and demonstrated successful collaboration between police, transit, and public works. Based on both utilization and operational performance, staff considers the program a success. Community sponsorships also increased this year. Sponsorships totaled $16,000, representing our highest sponsorship in several years. In particular, I'd like to recognize Toyota Hydrogen Solutions as our gold sponsor, along with the Torrance Refining Company, and Terrace, Flightwave, and the Torrance Police Foundation, who generally supported and fully funded the new Kid Zone. These partnerships helped offset costs while enhancing the overall visitor experience. Turning first to the parade and ceremonial events, this slide compares several of the key metrics from the past 3 years. Parade attendance declined to approximately 4,800 spectators, continuing a downward trend from previous years. We also saw fewer military and civilian parade entries compared to 2025, reflecting the continued challenges in securing military participation and community entries. On a positive note, attendance in the VIP and dignitary grandstands increased by approximately 44%, despite a smaller seating capacity. And aircraft participation increased to 24 flyover aircraft, the highest level in recent years. These figures illustrate that while participation declined in some traditional areas, interest in grandstand attendees and support for the flyover program remains strong. This slide highlights attendance across the supporting events held throughout the weekend. The military exhibit at the City Yard welcomed approximately 1,550 visitors over the 3-day event. The U.S. Space Force attendance data indicated a 70.8% decline, however, in military exhibit visitation compared to 2025, which is consistent with the overall reduction in participation observed across several event components. Participation in the Chamber's 5K and Expo also declined modestly, with 874 runners, 42 Expo booths, and an estimated 1,500 Expo attendees. One notable change was military participation in the 5K, which decreased significantly from more than 200 participants in 2025, as you see there, to only 37 this year, consistent with the reduced military presence in general.
Yeah.
Attendance at the Armed Forces Day Dignitary Banquet was slightly lower than last year, and the event was scaled down in terms of capacity. Even with that, only 70% of available seating was filled. Staff considers the transition to the dignitary mixture at the Western Museum of Flight a successful relocation that provides a unique venue while continuing to recognize our military and community dignitaries. Overall, these figures illustrate how participation varied across the weekend, supporting events, and provide additional context as we evaluate future event planning. Staff believes several factors likely contributed to these attendance trends. Reduced military participation is the elephant in the room, so to speak, due to operational commitments, elevated international tensions, changes in venue locations, different event footprint, and the redistribution of visitors among our attractions are likely influenced attendance. While no single factor explains every trend, these observations should help inform future planning discussions. Despite the challenges, the event achieved several notable successes. We safely relocated the military exhibit to the City Yard, introduced a successful kids zone with our partners at the Torrance Police Foundation, implemented the new park and ride system with more than 1,100 riders, held a successful dignitary reception at the Western Museum of Flight, and maintained strong partnerships throughout the region. And most importantly, all scheduled events concluded safely and without major incident. Challenges and lessons learned. This year's event also reinforced several ongoing challenges. Military participation continues to decline. Staffing requirements remain substantial. Security expectations continue to increase. And operating multiple venues requires significant coordination. Additionally, venue certainty early in the planning process would improve efficiency and reduce compressed planning timelines. And these lessons will help guide future planning efforts. Before discussing expenditures, I'd like to note that these figures remain preliminary. Since this presentation was prepared and submitted for the agenda, staff has continued to receive invoices and reconcile costs with several city departments and vendors. As a result, the totals showed on this slide have changed, and it should be considered a snapshot in time rather than the final accounting. Based on the most current information available today, non-personnel expenditures totaled approximately $243,600. The largest cost categories include approximately $107,000 for Meridian barrier protection, $51,200 for Marriott lodging, banquet, and catering services, approximately $17,700 for military aircraft flyover fuel, $9,300 for private security, and approximately $7,000 for vehicle rentals. Adding current Torrance Police Department personnel costs of approximately $169,700 brings the current estimated event cost to approximately $413,400. It's important to note that this estimate does not yet include personnel costs incurred by other city departments, such as fire, public works, community services, transit, and general services. And for the committee's perspective, those additional personnel costs exceeded $60,000 last year. Looking ahead, staff believes several topics merit continued discussion. These include the long-term event footprint, exhibit location, participation trends, staffing requirements, security needs, budget sustainability, and continued expansion of family-oriented programming. Our goal is to preserve Torrance's unique Armed Forces Day tradition while ensuring that the event remains operationally sustainable and continues to meet the expectations of our community. In closing, we'd like to again thank the many city employees, military personnel, volunteers, community organizations, sponsors, and regional public safety partners who contributed to another successful Armed Forces Day celebration. While this year's After Action Review identifies areas for continued evaluation, it also demonstrates the professionalism, the adaptability, and collaboration that made this event possible. I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee may have.